On that gloomy day, Sunday, August 15th, I was in my office and I was in charge of taking care of the organization. And then suddenly we heard guns firing outside the office. Inside it was chaos and there was a rush and every Afghan citizen was just running and they didn't know what to do. I remember now, it was a hard time. I managed to get home in 5 hours when it used to be a 20-minute commute. Because of the crowds, the people running, it created chaos and jammed the city streets. When I reached home, I saw all security around my house and everyone had disappeared, saying the Taliban had already come and everyone had fled. I texted my friends in the USA and said that my life is at risk. I need help from them. The next day, I received a text from the US Embassy saying to go to the airport. I went to the airport. I spent 3 nights there. Then on August 19th, I got a flight into Germany and from there on to Wisconsin in the USA. This was how I flew here. A friend helped me and got me access inside of the airport. She is an American who was able to leave Afghanistan, but the US Embassy in Afghanistan is now closed. But I got out. I made it out. And that's the story of how I got out. I got out, thank Allah, praised and exalted. I left my house, my car, my property, my bank accounts. I had decided to get out in half a day, even in a few hours, because I didn't even know until I was at the airport that the US could help me get out of the country. We weren't prepared for any of that. Suddenly, we lost everything in seconds. I was not at all able to get money out of the bank. The Taliban had blocked all bank accounts of anyone whose info they had, companies or governments, or all our properties seized. And these are personal properties. Imagine a natural disaster that destroys everything you own in seconds, your car, your house, and everything in them, but then somehow also manages to take away all of your cash and investments and everything else. It's like a giant reset button being hit on your life, but not in a good way. As you're left abandoned, metaphorically naked and helpless on the roadside of history. We all had a bigger hope for the country, but that all collapsed and got finished in one day, August 15, 2021. Remember that. It was built up over decades with hope and effort, destroyed in hours with hatred and fear. And Afghanistan is not the first place in which this happened, nor the last place that it will happen. All Afghans are against Taliban. Let me say it again. Let me scream it again. All Afghans are against the Taliban. And our president, how do you say it? Turned tail and ran and gave us no notice. We were kept in the dark, and it's very sad, terribly sad. Perhaps the saddest day of my life. One day, all finished in one day, country dead and gone. I was fortunate in being able to get out with my wife and kids and parents, but many of my family did not. Uncles, aunts, and some siblings remained, and now they have no chance to leave at all. There are no passports, no planes, no flights, and the borders are all closed. No work, no money, no jobs. Afghanistan is totally collapsed economically. One day, August 15, 2021, the gloomiest summer day in August ever. No matter what the weather was, the clouds hanging over us were much political and metaphorical as literal. And then they burst open and the storm began. It's not just my relatives who could not get out. The whole population. If the international community does not pay attention to what's really going on and think how to work with the new government, Afghans are going to start dying of hunger. Meanwhile, the Taliban has been having their people coming down from the mountains. They have occupied in cities and the houses and are killing people, doing armed robberies, going door to kill those who follow the wrong sect of Islam. And so they're ruling by violence and force. That's all they know. All they know. All we know of them. A lot of people like me working with knowledge of government could help, but I don't know how to get involved. There should be a transparent mechanism for this, but I don't know how. There is no transparency. I think paying attention to evacuating more people is a good intention, but the mechanism of how they are doing it is important. How they are recognizing and selecting people. How should someone reach this group? Millions of people have sent emails, but the actual journalists, the writers, contacts of the US government, all of the people who are eligible to leave, how could they get out, be selected to do this? Yes, it is unclear how to help someone. My country should not be suffering like this. I see that my country has gone centuries backwards and there is no place for minorities like me to live in Afghanistan. Minority groups in terms of ethnicity and religion, and also the educated elite who are hated by the Taliban, have no space to work amidst the fundamentalists and terrorists. But I have a dream for my family and my career. It is to accept the United States as our second home, where I will work hard, just as I did in Afghanistan years ago, and study and work hard and better myself and my country and my people. Make Afghanistan a safe place for the minority and the majority, and scrub it clean of fundamentalism and terrorism and any other kind of hatred. I have no identity. I left everything that was behind in Afghanistan. Here I am, just a refugee and his family, sitting in a camp in a place called Wisconsin, which I understand is famous for its cheese and its beer. But at least it's a nice camp where we have free food, free accommodations, free clothes, and it's okay. It's going to be okay. That's what I have to keep telling myself. I'm here, I'm alive, I survived. It will all be okay. Sunday, August 15, 2021 was the day my whole world died. No, was murdered, assassinated. I was lucky enough to escape with my mind and body and not much else. And the US is taking care of me, of us, of course, until we get out of the camp. I think all of us in here should find jobs. If anyone is listening, can introduce me to journalists or your personal contacts. It would help me to get my voice heard further about the survival of my news agency. I was a failure only because of our president betrayed us and the Taliban blindsided us. But still, I'm in a better place now. Wisconsin is very pretty this time of year. The leaves are turning. We don't have a lot of leaves in Kabul, except in the mountains, but most importantly, in Wisconsin, I don't have to worry about the late night knock on the door, followed by a gun muzzle in the face, some harsh ethnic insult, and then a dull thud of nothing because the Taliban bullet arrives before you hear the bang and then you're dead. After all, 6 months before my country went to hell, I was just driving down the road with my kids when an IED, that's a improvised explosive device, went off next to us. Fortunately, I was prepared then. And while my van did get knocked off the road, none of us were injured. 6 months later, August 15, 2021, no one was prepared. Please do send your list of journalists and contacts. The war in Afghanistan is far from over. The beginning was not the end. It was the beginning of something far more dangerous. Oh, and since I am in America now, I'm trying to fit in. When you're sending me those lists of journalists and contacts of who can literally save my news agency and my family lives, can you also explain how American baseball works? Because I get the impression that it's like a kind of a state religion here. Although it also looks kind of fun. Okay, time for dinner. Goodbye. Bless you.